Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Hey there, Internet. Welcome to another episode on the New Fangled Motion Picture Show. I'm your host, Niall, and I gotta go fast.
And I'm your host, Nolan, and I try not to go fast as much as possible.
Except when you're playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
The whole point is to go fast. Gotta go fast. So, in case you haven't figured out, we're going to be reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog. Anyway, so we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review, and then we'll give you a spoiler warning at some point, and then we'll go a little more in depth into the movie after that. Anything else to add to that before we get going?
Nope.
Alright, so I'm going to preface this by saying that we're both Sonic the Hedgehog fans. Nolan more so than me, but he was that age when the games came out on Genesis.
Yep. From the beginning.
We both grew up with these games, though. I put a lot of hours into the Sonic Adventure games in particular, but I also played the side-scrolling
I was even a
Genesis
fan.
games.
There were two different Sonic TV shows on simultaneously when I was a kid too, and I watched both of them. One was definitely meant for a younger audience than the other one, but I played the games and I watched the cartoons.
Neither of us watched Sonic Boom. I just want to get that out there.
No, I've not seen an episode of Sonic Boom, nor have I played Sonic Boom.
Right. But anyway, so that may or may not color our perception of this movie. It's hard, like, we can't really say, like, we have no concept of how this movie might be appreciated differently if you're not a Sonic fan going into it.
Right.
I mean, because for as long as I can remember, we've been Sonic fans, so. That being said, though, we both really enjoyed this movie. Like, yeah. So when they announced this movie, what, 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Something like that. I remember that poster that's like looking between his legs of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what's with his legs?
Yeah, his meaty, muscly calves. So when they announced this movie, I looked at it and went, ooh, that's going to be a train wreck. I mean, I'm going to go see it, but it's going to be awful. And then that first trailer came out. The now infamous meme to hell trailer.
Yeah, I was looking at the thing is, as big a fan as I was never excited for this movie.
Right.
Because I didn't expect anything good.
Yep.
It's like, how can they? And I'd seen like the decline of quality in Sonic media for a long time. Between the games and the shows and everything, so I had I really didn't have any interest in the movie.
We've tried, we've played the games that have come out in the last several years, where that people say, "Oh, this is a good one." This is the one
I haven't played the good one though. The Sonic
the
Mania.
Really good Sonic Mania. Yeah, that's the one that everyone says is. Other than that, though, played Sonic 4.
Sonic 4 was very disappointing. It was boring.
There was a couple of 3D games that I tried.
Didn't play the Sonic 06 or whatever. That's like the worst one, right? Where he's got like the love interest that's a human girl.
Yes.
Everyone says that's the worst one. I've seen a lot of videos on how awful it is.
Yeah. So I will say that the public outrage, the hoopla and all the hubbub about the original design of Sonic for this movie,
pretty much warranted.
Yeah, it was doofy looking. Like, it didn't. It studio
fell in this weird uncanny valley area that was just like, it looked so weird.
So they tried to go the Detective Pikachu route, where they try to like have this like really realistic looking fur, and like really try to make it look like a believable animal. Except that in Detective Pikachu, it still looks like Pikachu. Like, you look at it and you go, that is definitely Pikachu. I know it, like, in the cartoon and the games, it's always just like a solid yellow color and there's no distinguishable fur. But I look at that and it's all the right proportions. The eyes look correct. It looks like Pikachu.
See, that's the thing with that previous version is the proportions were all wrong. Sonic has never looked remotely realistic.
He's never looked like a believable animal.
And the fact that he's blue to begin with, you're just throwing realism out the window.
Yeah, so I think that was a dumb decision by a studio executive who just didn't understand the audience, didn't understand the media, and as a result of someone's bad decision, a bunch of 3D animators had to put in a lot of overtime.
Yeah, but it was because the redo looked correct. You could accept him as Sonic despite him having 2 eyes.
Instead of one big connected eye.
Yeah, that was always kind of weird anyway.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, it's not, in addition to the fact that the proportions are all wacky and cartoonish now, his fur, like, isn't as highly detailed and whatnot, so he just looks like a cartoon character. It looks like something from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, it looks like a cartoon character in this environment.
Yeah, well, it's like that Garfield movie or something.
Ugh.
Or the Chipmunks movie.
The best use of anything related to the Garfield movie was Zombieland 2. Anyway, so, you know, expect that going in. Like, it's, in addition to the fact that the proportions are all cartoonish now, again, as they should be, it's just not as well animated, but that's not...
It's not a detriment. Because it's Sonic the Hedgehog, I can accept it.
Right, exactly.
And, but anyway, I was very surprised by how good this movie is.
Yeah, like, I mean...
Don't get me wrong, it's not a great movie.
But it's a good Sonic movie.
It's a good Sonic movie. And if you're going to make a movie that's Sonic the Hedgehog, it's a live-action movie set in the real world, this is probably as good as you could ever get.
Yeah.
That's always been my argument for it's still an awful movie, but the Mario Brothers movie, I don't know how you could have made that more Mario Brothers without it being... Mario doesn't lend itself well to live action, let's just put it that way.
They could have done something different with the Goombas.
Nowadays, maybe you could do something more, but when that movie was made, Mario doesn't lend itself to live action.
The Goombas should have been puppets and should have been...
Little mushroom
guys.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is the best Sonic movie I think we could have ever gotten.
Yeah.
As far as a live action Sonic movie set in the real world.
Yeah.
And they leave it open for a sequel, and I kind of hope that happens.
Yeah, we were actually talking while I was cooking earlier. We were talking about like what we would do with a Sonic sequel.
Yeah.
And start to incorporate some additional elements and characters from the video games.
Right. And so also something I want to point out, if you're a fan of the Sonic games, there's a whole bunch of little Easter eggs distributed throughout the movie, little references to different levels from the games.
Some of them less subtle than others.
There's one part where he does a little foot tapping, I'm waiting animation. There's another part it's like a blink and you miss it. He's up on the shelf and he's doing that arm waving balancing thing like he did in the...
Yeah, when you get close to the edge of a ledge.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of read the signs in the background and stuff. There's just all kinds of references to the games thrown in there for the fans.
Yeah. And Jim Carrey was great as Robotnik too.
Oh yeah.
I think that was probably the best casting that we could have hoped for Robotnik. And they I think the way they do it, it's not a spoiler to tell you that Robotnik's, in the movie he's not the Robotnik that we know from the video games with the crazy mustache and the just over-the-top voice, because that would have been too much. It's one thing to have Sonic be really cartoonish, but for us to believe this, everyone else has to be believable. And
although it's still Jim Carrey, he's still cartoonish.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Jim... because it's Jim Carrey...
Now this is a Jim Carrey from early in his career.
Yeah, this is
the Ace Ventura not Dumb and Dumber, but Ace Ventura mask. That sort of Jim Carrey.
Yeah, the weird facial movements and the sort of weird cadence to his speech and
Also,
just
supposedly
wacky antics.
Supposedly he ad-libbed a whole bunch of his lines in this movie.
I mean, that's what you hire Jim Carrey to do, though, to be fair.
Right. So I thought he was pretty great in the movie. Yeah, overall, I don't really have any complaints about the movie, you know?
It was, yeah, I mean, like you're saying, it's as good of a Sonic movie that we could have expected.
Actually, better than we expected.
Yeah.
I didn't expect much, and I got a lot more than I expected out of it.
Yeah, so I'd say it's as good of a movie as we could have hoped for.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
It definitely deserves more than the, no, the 6.9 it has on IMDb right now, as of recording, is probably about deserved. Because, again, it's not a great movie.
It's certainly not a perfect movie.
Yeah, but it's a good Sonic movie. And, you know, with some of the things that happen, you just gotta kind of remember, like, Sonic the Hedgehog is a franchise meant for children.
Yeah, and it's a good family film.
Yeah. Oh, there were so many kids in our showing, though. Oh, it was so loud in there.
This was a Monday night at showing was around 7-ish.
7, yeah.
And there were a bunch of kids in
there. And this is the theater that's normally abandoned, too.
Yeah. We've talked about this theater before, how there's just never anyone there.
And we normally go on Friday and Saturday nights to movies. So, yeah, I was blown away with how many people there were. I mean, it wasn't the big screen room. I think there was only 3 rows of seats behind the center pathway.
But they were pretty much full.
The theater was, so all the seats behind that center walkway were taken, just about. I think you had an empty seat next to you.
Yeah, but that was when I went to select the seats. That was one of the seats that was it said house. Yeah, it was reserved by the.
I think they reserved those for the high rollers in the casino.
Yeah.
But because those are always reserved in every movie we go to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bunch of the seats in front of that were, so it was probably 2/3 full.
Yeah.
So.
And usually when we go to this theater on a Friday or Saturday night, it's us and 2 other people.
Yep.
On big release weekends too.
Yeah.
So this was, we were late to this because of stuff going on this weekend.
Yep.
And it was still close to.
Could have President's Day might have had something to do with it. Is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but it's 7 at night.
Yeah, I know. It's still it's still a school night. The kids still have school the next night. Or the next day, so yeah, I don't know, but I'm glad to see it doing well, because I actually do kind of want to see a sequel as long as it's the same people writing and directing it.
Yeah,
Jim Carrey looked like he was having fun.
Yeah, so I think there's a pretty good chance of a sequel.
James Marsden was fine in the movie. His character's pretty disposable.
Well, it's like most James Marsden roles. He's just kind of this bland sort of. Sometimes funny in a slapsticky sort of way, but not still kind of a bland character. That's kind of the role he always is.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of earlier Mark Wahlberg in that way.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, it's his character, it's important to this specific story of Sonic the Hedgehog, but honestly, he could just not be included in the next one. I don't think anyone would care. But anyway, so there's no I guess we'll put up a spoiler warning.
Yeah, I only have one spoiler related.
And it's the movie's really predictable. I mean, it's a kids movie, so it's really predictable. So it's not like anything we say is really going to be much of a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Because at no point was there anything to me that was oh wow, didn't see that coming.
No, but one thing I want to talk about, and it's a particular joke.
Okay.
And it's the best joke in the movie.
Okay.
Yep, we'll do that in the spoiler section there.
Alright, yeah, so henceforth are spoilers?
Yep, spoiler warning. Alright, so the joke, let me set this up for you. So Sonic has been living on Earth for 10 years in this little town, Green Hills, Montana. And nobody knows he's there. He's keeps hidden, and he steals everything he needs. But there's this farmer who spots him, right? And everyone thinks he's crazy. He's trying to tell everyone about the Blue Devil, and everyone thinks he's crazy. He's like, "Oh, it's crazy Carl or whatever." And then he's like, "I drew a picture of him," and he holds it up, and it's Sanic.
Oh, I forgot about Like I didn't forget about that, but when you were like, "It's the best joke in the movie," I was like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, that was fantastic. Oh, we were laughing hard when we saw that. We were both pointing at the screen. We're like, it's the thing.
It's Sanic. So that was amazing.
And if you don't know what Sanic is, just go Google search it.
It's Sonic, but with an A instead of an O, and you'll find Sanic.
So Sega has this thing where, Sonic fans, Sonic the Hedgehog attracts a lot of young children fans, and
it's the bright colors and anthropomorphic animals,
and it attracts. In particular, it attracts a lot of autistic fans.
Also, the bright colors and anthropomorphic animals,
right? And so there's sort of a meme of like badly drawn Sonic out there. The most famous of which is Sanic, and it's like this colored pencil drawing on lined paper. But Sega does this thing where they sort of make fun of that, and it feels kind of weird.
Yeah, like they're mocking the largest group of fans, right? But maybe they can get away with it because the fans might not realize they're being mocked.
That's somehow worse.
It's kind of mean-spirited.
Yeah, like
I'll give it that.
To us, it's funny, but at the same time, we're like, but
you kind of feel guilty for laughing at it.
Yeah,
yeah.
So like, I wonder what the reaction is of the, I'm assuming now adult who drew Sanic, because that's been an internet meme for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Or something.
The other thing...
I wonder what his or her reaction to it is.
The other big thing
I guess,
that's popular in the fan base is for people to make up their own Sonic characters or characters within the Sonic universe.
Oh man, there's some really...
And if you go to DeviantArt
stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, this is my original character, do not steal," and it's always like the most powerful like self-insertion anthropomorphic hedgehog that's always like black with like
spiked bracelets
and like blue or red or green streaks like through his quills.
So playing a Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic Adventure 2 was fun, but it might be like the worst thing to happen to the Sonic
basically all of these are inspired by Shadow the Hedgehog, and they're always like evil clones of Sonic, or they're like clones of Sonic that Robotnik made, and then they broke free from the enslavement by Robotnik, and now they're shadowy, mysterious hedgehog.
Yeah, they're here to punish all the bullies at school.
Original character, do not steal.
Yeah.
And it's just like Sonic, but they like colored over top of them.
Like instead of the tan belly, it's purple. Instead of the blue quills, it's like a dark gray.
Yeah, basically they take an image of Sonic the Hedgehog and they take it into paint and like sort of traced over it.
Yeah, color swap it. But it's all like cringy, dark, like
edgelord stuff.
Edgelord stuff, yeah. But Sega loves mocking that as well, and it feels like I don't see it as often as I used to. Because I do follow Sega's social media pages. It just kind of feels like they don't post as much as they used to in general. But for a while, there was a lot of like clearly someone like us who grew up with Sonic and understood like the humor in this, but also didn't think about how this might affect a small or like a young child who made that drawing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It feels weird. Like, I really laughed at the Sanic thing, and I don't think at this point it's mean-spirited. It's just sort of part of the zeitgeist around Sonic. But it does feel kind of weird when you know the origins of that.
Something else I want to point out, and it's unrelated to that, is so the studio ident that they have for Sega is really cool. It's like all these like this grid of images from Sega games going back forever, and it pulls back and they become the pixels of a logo.
Yeah, there was like Golden Axe in there.
Yeah,
there was the opening scene to Shogun 2 Total War, and I was like, now that's a game that none of the target audience has played.
I didn't get a chance to see everything because there's so many images there. I was looking for a Shining Force image, but I didn't catch one. It probably is one in there somewhere.
Yeah, I was looking for Shining Force, and I was looking for anything from Total War. The only one I caught from Total War was the Shogun 2. Mm-hmm. There might have been others. I feel like it would be tricky licensing to try to put in anything from Warhammer Total War.
Yeah, or any of their licensed IP. Like, you're not going to get like any of the... You're not getting like Alien Isolation or anything like that. But
right.
Mostly, it looked like it was a lot of Genesis games, for the most part.
I mean, that was the high watermark of Sega.
Yeah, but I saw Shenmue in there, I think. Which
that's a meme-ified game.
If there ever was one. I like seem to be in the majority of people who have played Shenmue, and I don't like the game. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Shenmue was way overrated.
Yep. It was the only thing resembling an RPG for a long time on the Dreamcast, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we, like I said at the beginning, we're both Sonic fans and have been our whole lives, so our opinions might be a little colored on this review. I will say that I really like the ending. And so they send Robotnik into this fungal world, which is so Sonic has his rings are teleportation devices.
So they kind of turn to the giant rings from Sonic 3, which take you to the bonus stages.
Levels. So he's he has these powers, and so the owl Longclaw that raised him, which as far as I know is a new character.
I think that was made up for the movie, yeah.
It was like sent him to Earth to protect him because, as long as he has these powers, people are going to want to take advantage of that. And to keep him safe, tells him to always be running. Got to go fast. And so...
ABR Sonic.
So he has these worlds figured out of, if things go sideways on Earth, the next world he's going to go to is this world that's just it's...
a mushroom forest.
It's Fallujah from Star Wars.
Yeah, I think initially it was kind of meant to be a reference to the Mushroom Hill Zone from Sonic and Knuckles.
Right, I'm pretty confident that's what it's supposed to be.
But it is straight up just nothing lives there but giant mushrooms. So yeah, it looks more like Fallujah from Star Wars. Yeah.
And so at the end they send Robotnik into that world. And so he's there by himself, and he's going insane. And so it shows him... He has this, waxed and curled mustache throughout the movie. And so when it shows him on this planet, presumably some weeks later or months later or whatever, and he's, shaving his head bald with a sharp rock, and his mustache is, sticking out past the edge of his head and all crazy looking. So he looks like... And he pulls his goggles down over his eyes, and he looks like a human version, a more human version of Robotnik from the games and the cartoons.
A little leaner.
Yeah, obviously, because Jim Carrey's not fat. Yeah. But I actually I liked how they started out with, all right, we gotta make it so you could believe this is a real person, despite his wacky antics. We can't go too far with it, otherwise the movie just breaks down. But now that they've introduced him and showed how he got to that stage, they can have him come back and be, the Dr. Robotnik that we know from the cartoons, and start having it didn't happen, but I wanted an egg-shaped pod with a spiked ball swinging from the bottom.
The end credits
or a drill on the front of it.
The end credits though showed a lot of 16-bit graphics of scenes from the movie, kind of like how they did in the Wreck-It Ralph credits and stuff.
It's all done in the style from the Genesis games.
But there is one where it shows he has this little flying machine thing, and it does show it with the ball and chain hanging down below it. So that was kind of a little a little Easter egg there, or a little thing for the fans that wanted that but didn't actually get it in the movie.
So, and there is a mid-credits thing too.
Yeah, and so it introduces Tails.
Yep.
Tails shows up on Earth looking for Sonic, apparently.
Unsure as to why, but he needs him for something.
Yep. And so that'll be the catalyst for any sequels.
Which I hope they make at this point.
I want a sequel to this movie. I was not
expecting, when they announced this movie, like, if I could go back in time and tell myself, after having heard the announcement for this movie, going, look, when you see this movie, you're going to watch it and actually be excited for the potential of a sequel. I would not have believed it. At all. But no. I actually am. I do hope they make it. Just like I hoped they would have made a sequel to Warcraft.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Continue that story.
So anyway, anything else to add to that?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, so if you're a Sonic fan, definitely go see it. If you just are in the mood for a fun family romp, go see it, because it's definitely that. Even if, because like I don't think anyone under like the age of 40 is unaware of the existence of Sonic, right?
Nah, I think it's pretty well known.
Yeah. So I think as long as you understand that he's a blue hedgehog and he runs really fast, that's his thing, then that's really all you need to know going into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that about covers it for Sonic. Our next movie, I think, is going to be Call of the Wild. Not because we're particularly excited to see it, but our mom wants to see it, and we're good children. Well, not children. We're good sons.
We're good sons. Better than The Good Son. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It's about a psychotic kid.
Yeah. Let's see. Is that in fact our next movie? Sonic Fantasy.
Pretty sure it's out this weekend.
Yes, it is out on the 21st. That is in fact Friday.
Okay.
So that's gonna be our next movie. Just looking at this, and that's gonna round out the month for us. I think that's the last thing of the month we're seeing. And then the week after that, Onward. That's gonna be delayed. That's gonna be at least a week late. So sorry, we got that thing.
Yeah, well, only because Mom wants to.
Yeah,
like, we could, but then we'd have to go again with Mom anyway.
And it doesn't look like a movie I'm gonna give a shit about seeing once, let alone twice. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna go see it because it's Pixar. It's the new Pixar. Although I can't really say that because I never saw The Good Dinosaur. But
The Dinosaur didn't look very good.
No, I'm so ambivalent towards it.
See, I'm at least somewhat interested in seeing it.
Yeah. So then the next movie after that's gonna be Bloodshot. That'll probably be at least a couple days late.
Not My Spy?
Look, I love Dave Bautista, but I don't give a crap about that movie. I'm excited for it to come out so I can stop seeing the trailer. It looks kind of cringy, if I'm being perfectly honest. And then the next movie after that's going to be Mulan. So that's what we got coming up in March. And then, not a whole lot in April. The new James Bond movie. I might actually see Antlers. Like, I'm not big on horror movies, but that looks really good.
It actually does.
But that's pretty much like the only thing for April. And then in May 1st is Black Widow, and that I think sort of kicks off the summer blockbuster season because that month is also F9.
SpongeBob.
And that Scoob. Artemis Fowl movie's finally coming out.
That poster's been like sitting around for a couple years now, right?
Yes. I'm curious. We should go. Well, you should go because you're better at researching this than I am. You should go look up and see what happened. I mean, it had to have gotten delayed for some reason.
The problem now is going to be doing sequels, right? Everyone's going to like the young people are going to be too old, right?
Yeah. I mean, Josh Gad's probably noticeably older by now. Judi Dench probably not.
Yeah. But yeah, like all the young characters are going to be too old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be tough doing sequels.
It will be. But yeah, anyway, so May kicks off the summer blockbuster season, particularly with Black Widow and then F9, the new Fast and Furious movie, which still haven't decided whether or not we're going to see it.
See, I didn't really have any interest till I saw the part with the bridge in the trailer. That I'm like, well, okay.
They always got to show the one stunt that's like the big craziness, right?
Still more believable than that sports car pulling down an airplane.
In, what was it, the fifth one? Or
I don't remember.
The sixth one?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Also more believable than the helicopter chase in Hobbs and Shaw. Although it was funny with like each car coming out being even more ridiculous than the last and hooking on.
Yeah.
And the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, actually looks really fun. I can't wait to see SpongeBob play blackjack. Well,
and Keanu Reeves.
And Keanu. So anyway, that'll be finally we get back into seeing movies most weekends. The first quarter of the year always sucks for movies, man. So anyway, if any of that sounds of interest to you, hit the alert button. What is it, the bell button?
The notice bell.
The notice bell. Smash that like button, as the kids say. Not that kind of smash, Nolan. And
smash.
That way you'll be alerted whenever a new video drops. Also, check out our other stuff. What was the last thing we did? Every time, Nolan.
Every time. I was prepared for that until you asked me. What was the last thing we saw? Oh, Birds of Prey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go check out our Birds of Prey review, too. We see so many movies that it's not... Going to see a movie is not even the slightest bit eventful for us. So we forget a lot of the time.
Well, I get everything mixed up. It's especially bad when we see multiple movies in a weekend. And
yeah. Ooh, look at that Metascore for Fantasy Island.
You know what? I like the concept though of a horror adaptation of Fantasy Island. It makes sense. It makes it like a monkey's paw thing.
Yeah, I thought that was the only thing you could really do at this point, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, until next time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.